Tesla has now let go 10%, over 10%. So we don't know the final numbers yet, but over 10% of their global workforce. And we can talk about some of the reasons why. But one of the big ones is that the company is just not making as much money because they're now dealing with more competition, along with a whole host of other issues. Now, it wouldn't be an Elon Musk story without a lot of, this is a guy who's shown himself time and time again to be an extremely considerate fella. And he showed that to many of those workers who, as the story from Business Insider says from Grace K, some Tesla factory workers realized they were laid off when security scanned their badges and sent them back on shuttles, sources say. Tesla told staff it was laying off more than 10% of its workforce on Sunday night, but some workers didn't realize they were laid off until they showed up at the company's facilities. 5 current or former workers told Business Insiders. At Tesla's factory in Sparks, Nevada, workers faced a roughly 2-hour line to get into the facility on Monday morning as a result of badge checks, one worker said. At the factory, the security team was scanning the badges of workers coming out of the shuttles that ferry people between the factory and nearby parking lots, said 2 current Tesla workers who requested anonymity since they weren't authorized to speak about the matter. Typically, security guards inspect workers' badges at the site, but they don't usually scan them directly, the 2 workers said. So look, a bunch of people, and these aren't the only folks fired, by the way, got very unceremoniously let go, including, by the way, some top executives who have been with Tesla for years. 10% of your global workforce is a massive layoff. Incredibly damaging for a place like Austin, Texas now, that has 20,000 workers, or did have 20,000 workers at the Gigafactory here. So that means about 2,000 workers here also faced layoffs. Now, Musk had been asking, people sort of knew this was coming, or at least there's a lot of reports that it was coming, because Elon Musk had been asking management to figure out where the inefficiencies lie in the Tesla Corporation. Surprise, surprise, it wasn't the fancy boys. But was actually the people responsible for building the vehicles. And remember, they literally were hiring people, at least in the Austin facility last month. And those were people who were let go. Just, recognizing that this is just such a mismanaged organization, that going into, very likely layoffs, they were still hiring folks. There might be a reason for that, which is that they need a lot more people working at these facilities, because the build quality at Tesla, some of the wild things that we see, are undoubtedly caused by overworked workers. But and before we get to maybe the main event, I wanted to make sure that you're, if you had something you wanted to add, Matt.
I just think, I'm 35 now. How short the promise lasts on these sort of capitalist promises for regional prosperity, right?
Oh.
I remember Wisconsin, Scott Walker being like, okay, we're going to kill unions and get Foxconn in here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do cars in the South now without labor unions. We see actually that promise curdles so fast. It seems like Tesla when did Tesla actually go?
In the past 4 years. The Gigafactory just, they just did the groundbreaking work. And let's also not forget, people died building that goddamn factory, because it had to be done so quickly. We can get into the Tesla, some of the Musk things regarding this layoff in a second. But there's just no doubt about it that this is caused by 2 things. One, yes, more competition in the market for electric vehicles, particularly things like Rivian, and also just the major automakers getting involved in the EVs. And people have been sort of making it clear that hey, I actually like having a knob that I can press to put in my turn signal and not have some unwieldy thing where people are basically putting plastic dots on top of their wheels.
Man, the videos of people using they don't know that they put on their wrong blinker and then going the opposite in traffic. It's insane.
I drive on the road with these people. And a lot of these, oftentimes, as we were just noting and we talked about last week, most of the time, hopefully, These things aren't life-threatening mistakes, just sort of goofy and silly things, or issues with the vehicle aesthetically. But yeah, these can get really dangerous really quickly, as this shocking video will show.
So apparently the Cybertruck has a stop zone, and I might know why. It's got something to do with the accelerator pedal. So let me show you something interesting about my Cybertruck. Is that pedal looks different, right? Because it's missing this. So a couple days ago I'm driving, and let me see if I can get a good view here. I'm driving, and this goes here. As I'm driving, this slid up and wedged itself just like that.
Oh my god!
I know.
Right now it's not clipped on, so it's kind of hard to see, but
I mean, are you
itself
kidding me?
right there. And as you can see, based on the design of the floorboard, this sliding up, and the way this was still hooked onto the pedal, it held the accelerator down 100% at full throttle. Now, I was luckily had a clear mind, didn't panic, and holding the brake down overrides the pedal. So I was able to stop the car, but anytime I lift the brake, it would start accelerating again.
Yeah. No,
so,
I mean,
I stopped the car,
unbelievable.
put it in park, got out. At first I thought the pedal was broken, but then I realized that nope,
No,
this was wedged.
they didn't bolt on the
down
fucking
here
gas pedal.
under this little section here, not allowing this pedal to come back up. So yeah, looks like there's a recall or some kind of stop cell for that.
We don't know if there's a recall yet, because I mean, first of all, yes, no, they did not secure the goddamn gas pedal on the fucking truck, by the way, the big ass vehicle. That is very famous, by the way. One of the kind of selling points for it is how fast it can go from 0 to 60. So it's super cool that you were able to innovate that while not ensuring that the fucking gas pedal doesn't fall off. I mean, we've seen issues with the steering wheels falling off and all this kind of stuff. But having the gas pedal basically get lodged in 100% acceleration is such. Look, there's no way that you can design a vehicle that's 100% safe, right? And there's a kind of margin of error that we sort of have to recognize comes with building and designing any kind of vehicle. Making sure that the accelerator doesn't get stuck at 100% is kind of fucking basic shit.
Maybe first page of the checklist be like, is there anything that is going to turn this thing into a giant missile, a land-bound missile? Oh my god, I can't. I'm horrified by that.
Oh, it's absolutely horrifying. And so this is not in response. This has not been made official as far as I know. But over the weekend, Tesla's troubled Cybertruck, which we'll get into in a second, appears to have hit yet another speed bump. Over the weekend, dozens of waiting customers reported that their impending deliveries had been canceled due to an unexpected delay regarding the preparation of your vehicle. And basically, people are sort of assuming that there might be an investigation into the fact that people are having this issue with the Tesla, basically getting stuck in accelerating, that are, could be extremely damaging to the company.
I mean, it's weird. It's just weird growing up with sort of like the Ralph Nato versus the Pinto, and actually we're gonna regulate these things into some sort of compliance, and then it turns out no, it's whatever, man. If some guy wants to turn the steering wheel into like an F1 thing, fine. If we need to like put a fancy cladding on the gas pedal that might get it lodged at 100%, like, man, I'm still just. I saw Rivian relatedly, like I saw Rivian going down the street the other day, and I've never felt so partisan about vehicles. And I mean, it's everybody versus Tesla. I want this company to fail so badly, and it's. Yeah, like this stuff. Like, what's the crash testing? Is crash testing a thing? Did it have to? Because it does.
Well, I mean, the crash is one thing here, but let's not forget the main issue, Matt. Guys, I had my truck for less than 350 miles. Something happened I can't explain. I was driving the like usual, and when coming into a turn, releasing the accelerator, but the speed wasn't reducing. So I pressed the brake, but it didn't engage until it was too late, and I hit a signal light pole. Airbags also didn't deploy. I mean, you got to get this shit off of the road. You absolutely
Yeah.
have to get this shit off the road. It is a disaster on by every metric, aesthetically, culturally, socially, but most importantly, on the level of safety, not only for the driver but for everyone else on the fucking road. I mean, thank God that first fella who was driving, had the kind of presence of mind to figure out a way to get out of that kind of situation. But Lord
Yeah.
help us all, that the vast majority of these people do not. And in fact, the way that Tesla tries to sort of sell these vehicles is almost as if like, hey, you don't even really have to worry about driving too much. So a lot of these people are driving Teslas and their Cybertrucks uh, without having a strong presence of mind about what is going on around them. And something like that happening in a school zone or something like that. I mean, hell, I mean, really, I know I don't mean to personalize it too much, but a lot of these weirdos are like here now. I mean, I was gonna say for better, for worse, but they're here now, right? And they're driving around, and Austin is like a lot of other cities. We have schools everywhere, and we have some roads, that have a lot of traffic by elementary and middle schools. Thinking about one right by my house. And I see Cybertrucks in those vehicles. It is absolutely frightening to think about one of these people having their accelerator caught underneath the goddamn, the foot of the car, because they didn't fucking figure out a way to bolt the top of the accelerator on it. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, and I mean, just underline the material reasons why sort of these things are allowed on the road, or the self-driving cars in San Francisco. I forget what the chronic violator was, but there's many different companies, and the reason is because investors have sunk money into those and are expecting a return, and
Mhm.
so those are the real people. It's not us. We are not going to lose out on this innovation. It's those people, and which is always what it's. Oh, you don't want innovation to happen. You don't want, no. Innovation happens, but it can happen in a way that it isn't putting people at risk and turning the roads into like like just a testing ground for the stupidest new ideas from people who trying to, again, not improve transportation or revolutionize shit. They're trying to make money for their investors.
Mhm. And let's also be very clear here too. The folks who work at Tesla are hard workers, right? And one of the fundamental realities of that job that you see time and time again through investigation to some of the safety issues that we've seen at Tesla facilities, to some of the lawsuits against the company, is that they overwork their employees. And hell, you think they overwork people in kind of sales and management and things like that? What do you think that how they treat the people on the line actually doing that kind of work? I mean, come on, we all know exactly what's going on here. And first of all, those are the first people who they're pushing out, which is ridiculous because Tesla is already having difficulties with meeting, the kind of standards and requirements that any rational company should be setting out for themselves and producing vehicles at a kind of healthy rate. Now, let's not forget that before this recent layoff, the most recent one was in New York State when workers were trying to organize a union. And you saw that very blatant attempt at what I would call union busting by Musk and the Tesla Corporation. Now, I want to read the statement really fast, Matt. But I think that one thing that like we have to recognize is that like having a build quality issue, like all of these build quality issues that we're having, a lot of it is from the design. That design, the problem there is these people are overworked, and you have a wild ass man as your boss who's saying things like, "Hey, don't have a normal steering wheel, and let's try to figure out ways to um, to undo all of the kind of progress and lessons that we have learned in designing vehicles over the past century."
Let's reinvent the windshield wiper.
Let's literally reinvent the wheel.